Hi guys, and welcome back to the Euro Trips channel. We are here for our final installment of our NFL tier list videos. We've given you part one for atmosphere and part two for how NFL stadiums look. This time, it's a turn of what each city is like to visit if you want to go to an NFL game. If you don't know my story, last season, so from September till December 2022, I went to 21 NFL games in the space of 77 days. So it was quite the trip. Went to so many stadiums, saw so many cities, and did so many non-sport tourist attractions and sightseeing as well. So for me, this video is a bit different to the first two, but it gives the non-NFL fans watching this channel to give them a chance of what each city is like to visit in America. And of course, if you're an NFL fan watching, whether you're in the States, whether in Europe or the UK, this video will hopefully give you a chance to have a sort of look at and get a feel for if you want to go to a game in America and your team is in a certain place or you want to go and see a certain city, whether this trip is worth it. So for me, this one is going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to giving you my tales about each place. Tier list is here. We are giving you the normal sort of tier lists options as the first two. So we're going to give you elite, very good, average, naff, and not available, which basically means I didn't visit this place. So first up is Washington. Now, I was here for a very short amount of time, but I'm going to give this place a very good ranking. So when I was there, it was actually a great thing because I got my flight to Washington, and literally straight away got off the plane, went straight to the White House, visited there, then visited a Lincoln Memorial and did a lot of cool stuff around the area. Watched one of the World Cup games in Washington. I just loved the vibe that was in Washington. The subway was very easy to use. Everywhere was sort of easy to get to. I think Washington, I can see why maybe it's the capital because it is one of the better places I went to, and it was really, really cool. I just wish I was there for longer, and I do plan to go back because I do want to go to a game in Washington. Only saw the stadium from the outside, so I'm hoping I can get that done next season. Baltimore is a not available. Hoping to go here in 2023, but yeah, didn't get to visit this place, so yeah, not available. Tampa Bay, I'm going to give it very good. Doing it on public transport alone, it would go in naff, but excluding that, very nice place. There was a nice river walk you had there. You had a great sports bar, hat tricks, brilliant place. Of course, weather was very good when in mid-October to late October. It's a very nice weather as well. And yeah, I thought it was very very cool vibes that went on in Tampa Bay. Now, my first NAF is going to go to Carolina. I went to Charlotte to watch the Panthers play, but in terms of Charlotte, North Carolina, I wouldn't say there's a lot to do there. I mean, maybe I've missed a place, I don't know. But for me, I didn't see much there that blew me away. There was a nice walk I did on the day of my flight home, and the airport was very easy to get around. But for me, Charlotte, Carolina was not really one I would really go back to anytime soon. So yeah, for me, it's going in NAF. Now, this one may surprise a few of you. I'm going to put LA in average. LA had its good parts, but I don't think LA is really a place that is as good as what's advertised, what you see on the films, the TV programs. You see Beverly Hills, you see all the nice parts, but what you don't see is a comparison between that and the non Beverly Hills parts of LA. Went to Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is very cool. Saw a lot of my favorite actors and celebrities on these stars, but at the same time, the area it was around was not nice at all. But I got a big up, Hollywood sign. That was very fun. There were some nice sandwich places. It was not. I think it defined average for me, LA, because it wasn't a place that I thought, yeah, you know what, it's rubbish. But I never thought this place blows me away. So for me, LA goes an average. Pittsburgh, this one very good. I really enjoyed Pittsburgh. Stayed at a family friend, stayed at Harry's. He lives in Pittsburgh, and we had a great few days. We ate, we did a lot of cool stuff. Went to a game, of course. Saw a lot of Pittsburgh. Had Thanksgiving there, or Friendsgiving they call it. So I got to experience that, and I went to a cool bar in the evening. So yeah, Pittsburgh for me was very cool. I liked it a lot. New York, elite. This was my favorite place amongst the trip I went on. It was fantastic. I thought, I went with a friend James, and he preferred Dallas. But for me, I loved New York. It was really good. I thought New York was just a fantastic feel for it. It was around Christmas time, so there was a lot of Christmas markets, Christmas lights, Christmas music going on. That helped, and it felt very special. But this is a place that I wanted to go to for so many years. It's been on my bucket list since I was a teenager, really. So for me, it was absolutely fantastic. Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty. Didn't get to go to Madison Square Garden, but going to MetLife, you know, eating some pizza there, seeing the Friends building, going on the subway. There's so much we didn't even do, and I definitely want to go back because there's so much that I didn't even get to see. So for me, New York for me goes and I'll just put the other New York in as well, and I'll just put the other LA whilst I'm there as well. Yeah, for me, I thought New York was absolutely fantastic, and I think that I don't think it's actually that bad price wise. If you want to get a flight just to New York, I think I saw some flights, especially around winter time, for £280 return. But for me, if you want to go and you want a nice magical weekend, or if you want to go for a romantic weekend, or you want to go just for a weekend with friends, New York, you have to go around Christmas time. We got to go to the Rockefeller Center, got to see the Christmas tree being lit up. It was absolutely fantastic. So for me, if I can give it more than elite, I would. I'll give it definitely more than 10 out of 10 if that was possible. New York was absolutely fantastic. Cleveland sadly goes in naff. All the Fame was good, went to that, but that's really in Canton more than Cleveland. If I say, yeah, in terms of if you want a weekend away for a Browns game, I would have recommended it. I don't think there was any really. I mean, at least Charlotte, there was some pretty parts of North Carolina, but I apologies to anyone who's listening who's from Cleveland, but I didn't see much there that blew me away. And I had a bad experience on my public transport to get from Cleveland to Buffalo. But yeah, for me, it was not particularly nice. For me, I think I'm happy to be proved wrong, and I want to go to a game there. So I will be going back to Cleveland because I want to go to a game there and complete the set. So if anyone's watching this video that wants to tell me somewhere good to go in Cleveland, then please tell me because I want Cleveland to be good, and it's somewhere I wanted to go. So for me, if you do know anywhere good to go in Cleveland, do put a comment on the video or DM me on Twitter or Instagram and let me know what you think is a good place to go in Cleveland. I mentioned Buffalo. We'll get on to Buffalo now. We might as well get that out of the way. I'd say very good, even though I didn't spend long there. I literally spent, due to again the aforementioned public transport issue, I spent less than 24 hours in Buffalo, but I got to see Niagara Falls, which was amazing. But yeah, I do plan to go back because I do want to try Duff's, and I want to go to a game there as well. So for me, Buffalo again. If you're watching this video and you want to tell me where it's good to go in Buffalo, then please let me know, and I would love to get your thoughts. Dallas, this again goes in very good. James, who'll be watching this video, I'm sure he would put this in elite. He loved it so much, but I put it in very good. I don't know why it's not an elite because I thought it was very good. But yeah, I don't know what was missing, but for me, Dallas was very, very good. Pecan Lodge is a great restaurant I went to. I was recommended it by a friend of a friend, and didn't disappoint at all. If you like your barbecued food, this is the place to go. I mean, I went to Kansas City, had barbecue. It was good, but not what I expected. But Dallas, for me, this Pecan Lodge restaurant I went to was absolutely fantastic. It was really cool. I love to go back, and I'm sure my friend James would. Yeah, I mentioned Kansas City. We'll get onto that now. I'd say average. Didn't see enough of it really to have a true opinion. So you could argue put it in NA, but for me, walked around it for a bit, seemed nice enough, but I didn't see it near enough to have a true opinion on Kansas City. Tennessee, this one is going to go in elite. I thought Tennessee was absolutely fantastic. I thought it had everything you wanted. So there was live music everywhere you went. So if you like live music and sort of live bars with music and stuff like that, you would absolutely love Tennessee. It was fantastic. Nashville particularly was brilliant. That's where I spent most of my time. And it's very near the stadium, so you don't have to worry about if you're staying near that area and about getting to a game there because everywhere's close. Yeah, Nashville was fantastic. It really was cool. And of course, it's not far from Memphis as well. So if you want to go to Graceland, which I did in Memphis, Tennessee, it was absolutely brilliant as well. As an Elvis fan myself, I loved it. So if you're an Elvis fan watching this video, that is something you have to do. Bit expensive to go there, but it's worth it just to see all the Elvis stuff and see his house. Detroit. I'm sorry, Detroit. You may have seen this coming. Going to put it in naff. Now, where we were staying was actually very nice. Definitely the best place I stayed throughout my trip. It was a great mansion, but at the same time, even though I didn't spend long there, it wasn't nice to look around. And you go there. I was very lucky to get a lift there through a bus issue, getting from Buffalo to Detroit. So shout out to Tim. He gave me a lift there. But when you're walking into, also when you're driving into Detroit, it's nothing spectacular, and it really was nothing special for me. Philadelphia is my next not available. Haven't gone there yet, although I do plan to go there again in 2023 because not only is it an hour and a half train from Baltimore, it's also an hour and a half train from both Washington and I believe Cleveland as well. So Philadelphia, I'm definitely going to go there next year, whether it's watching the Eagles play at home, which I definitely plan to do. And I also want to see James Harden play. So seeing the Sixers play in basketball is something I'd love to do as well. So for me, Philadelphia is my not available. Atlanta, average for me. Went with a friend, my friend Jack. It was good. Hear a lot of good things about it. The food was fairly good. Had the best chicken wings of the trip there. Brilliant. But for me, I don't think it had too much there that I would go back for. I mean, the aquarium was very nice. Definitely the best aquarium I've been to. It was absolutely fantastic. But I don't think there was much really to do apart from that. I mean, if you like your history, got to see Martin Luther King's house, which was actually really cool. But I just don't think it's quite enough in the very good column for me. I'd say it's average, but teetering towards very good. Houston, very good for me. Talking of very good, absolutely fantastic. For me, it was a place that I don't really think many people have down as a tourist destination. I think people tend to go to Dallas more than Houston. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I thought Houston was brilliant. The food was fantastic. The Space Center was one of my favorite things I did there. Hard to get to, I'm not gonna lie. You'd have to get an Uber or drive. You couldn't rely on public transport like I did. We had to get an Uber in the end. The public transport is not really that good in Houston, but there was a great sports bar with brilliant food. The weather was good as well. Shorts and t-shirt weather every day. Houston was very good, and I can see why people do go there. The zoo was also very good. That was a really good zoo. So for me, yeah, Houston goes in very good. Cincinnati, I have to go an average. I mentioned zoos. Cincinnati Zoo, that is the best zoo I went to in my whole life. It's absolutely fantastic. You can actually walk around the kangaroos, just walk around them, and they didn't do anything. It's brilliant. I saw two gorillas chase each other. It's just a fantastic zoo, and I've actually got a souvenir from it. Just going to get my hat. So yeah, I've got my main souvenirs that isn't sport related was this hat that you can see here, Cincinnati Zoo. It was a fantastic zoo. I thought it was really cool. But apart from that, not really too much. I mean, the food was pretty nice. Went to this one restaurant, had some fantastic Italian food. But for me, I wouldn't say there's much there. So if you want to go to a Bengals game, whilst that's a good experience at the same time, I wouldn't say go for a week. I say a long weekend is more than enough, I'd say, to go there. Seattle is my next place that goes in elite. I thought Seattle was really cool. It's definitely in my top 3 when it comes to places to visit. On that trip I went to, it was brilliant. Everything from Pike Place Market, that was brilliant. Got to see the original Starbucks. The game was brilliant as well. That stadium was really easy to get to, and everywhere was really. Public transport was really good in Seattle. Everywhere you went, it was easy to get to. But for me, the place that stood out the most was the Mount Rainier day tour I did. So I got this through TripAdvisor, and this is the place that I never really heard of before I went to Seattle. And I remember literally looking up on TripAdvisor places to go, and it was number 1, I believe. And it was just absolutely fantastic. So I paid for a coach trip, and I can put the link in the description if you wanted to go to Seattle and that trip. And yeah, it's a bit costly, but £130, and it was a bit of a nightmare to try and find a pickup point. But once you're there, it's absolutely fantastic. It's really is one of the best things I did in the whole trip. It was so good. So you picked you up, albeit very early in the morning. I think I was getting a 5:30 a.m. bus, but absolutely worth it. You spend the whole day there. It is really worth it. I really recommend, because you go there, they pick you up, they take you there, they take you on stops along the way, they take you to a supermarket where you can get your snacks along the way. It was so good. So for me, Seattle for me has to go in elite. And of course, Space Needle was really surreal moment because that's somewhere I've wanted to go to for years. As a fan of the program Frasier, always knew about it. So my first stop of my trip was actually Seattle. So I get off the plane, arrive in Seattle, get into my Airbnb, straight away off to the Space Needle. So literally, it went from being in Heathrow, being on a plane, watching various films. Then next minute, I'm in a queue for the Space Needle. It was utterly brilliant, and I would recommend Seattle to anyone who is watching. Here's the one I've been waiting for the most: New Orleans. Now, if I was back in my student days, or if I was back being 21 again, New Orleans would have to go in elite. But for me, my party days are sadly over. And for me, I'd say still very good. I think there's still a lot of good things you could do that didn't involve partying. So, you had the World War II Museum, you had, those different film sets where Sandra Bullock lives, where they filmed Benjamin Button. There's a lot of cool places, and the Bourbon Street was really cool. The food was spectacular. And I will say, yeah, the scene, the sort of the nightlife scene, it was really good. And we were there for Halloween, so that was special in a way because it was just absolutely crazy. Everywhere you turn, people are dressed up. There's music everywhere. There's live bands everywhere. People playing instruments. It was really cool. But I think sadly for me, maybe I went there maybe 3 or 4 years too late. San Francisco, not available. Haven't gone there yet. Or I am actually going there in September with Ryan and Naeem on the channel and Naeem's girlfriend Hannah. Should be a good time. I'm really looking forward to this. Everyone who's been has told me how good it is, and I can't wait to go there again, or for the first time on this trip in September. Hoping to go to a game there, but that's not a guarantee. It depends how the NFL schedule gods help us out. So yeah, looking forward to here. Alcatraz, the trams. It's all gonna be very good. But for me, not been there yet. Minnesota, interesting one. Gonna go for average. I think it was nice, but I wouldn't say it was really a place that blew me away or a place that I thought, it's not very good. So for me, can't say any more than that. Going an average. Green Bay, again, I say average because I only went really for the, you know what? I'm going to change this up. I went there, but I'm going to put it in not available because I didn't spend enough time here really to have a true opinion. Although actually I did have some nice breakfast there, so I'm going to put an average. So for me, obviously, besides from the sort of the NFL side of things, didn't do an awful lot in Green Bay, but it was so nice being around some snow. Had a great pizza there. Went for breakfast in the morning with my Airbnb host. Great place. Had a real American feel to the place. It was a cute place, but I can't say I did enough to really give any advice on what to do in Green Bay besides going to Lambeau Field, whether that's a game or stadium tour. Denver, very good, very good. Did the Rocky Mountains. I thought they were fantastic. And I think there's a lot of stuff around this downtown that were really cool as well. I'd say it edges towards more average than elite, but I think for me it was still somewhere I thought was really cool. And I really liked Denver. Speaking of which, Indianapolis was actually the place I went to before Denver, I believe, or just afterwards. But either way, Indianapolis was, I'd say, very good. Very historical, and that's not really my scene, but there was some really cool stuff there. Had the best sports bar I've ever been to. It was brilliant. The food was spectacular. Any sport you want, they had it on. So it was great for watching the football, whether it was Premier League, Champions League, and there was just some cool places around the area to walk around. The weather was fantastic as well, which really helped. When there early October, it was really cool. It was my third stop after Cincinnati, so it was Seattle, then Cincinnati, then Indianapolis, then Denver. But for me, it was utterly brilliant. And but I wouldn't say, I'd go there again, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it was still cool to visit. Jacksonville, for me, goes an average. It was a cool place to visit, but I had just had a week in Miami where it was pretty full on. So it was nice just to chill out there. But yeah, I didn't really see too much of Jacksonville, but I'd say still average because I got to go on a cycle ride around Jacksonville, got to go to the beach. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. Yeah, I didn't see enough of Jacksonville to really have a true opinion. Arizona, didn't go to it. So that's going and not available. Might as well put Vegas in there. We are actually going to Vegas again, same trip as San Francisco, a rearranged 2020 holiday. and hopefully we're going to go to the Grand Canyon in Arizona as well. So hopefully these three can be ticked off within the next few months. But yeah, can't comment on Vegas. Chicago will be my final elite. I thought Chicago was fantastic. If I had to give my top 10 things, list of things I did, Chicago will not be on any of them. But there was something magical about the place I went to. It was just brilliant. The food was spectacular. Shout out Giordano's, fantastic pizza. The city around it was just very cool. A lot you can do there, and you go past Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs, the baseball stadium. It was fantastic, and subway was actually really good. Probably the best public transport of the whole trip. It was brilliant. Funny story, actually, I did actually, on my flight to Miami, I did go to the wrong airport and had a mad rush trying to get to the right one. Thankfully, maybe it was 5 minutes to spare before the flight then being delayed by half an hour. But for me, Chicago was absolutely fantastic. I'd say it reminded me a bit of Gotham City on Batman, very sort of old school in that sense. But for me, Chicago was utterly excellent. Speaking of Miami, this is going to hurt me because I wanted to go here for so long. It's going to go an average. I think if you're looking at Florida Keys, which is in Florida, that would go in almost elite, if not very good. But to the Miami itself, the beaches, I didn't think were anything special. I was a bit let down, to be honest, by the Miami beach. But Florida Keys, big up Florida Keys, that was a brilliant time. Final one is New England, which actually is the only one on here that I didn't go to on this trip. I went to New England or Boston in 2019 on my own for 5 days. I thought it was really cool, so I'm going to put it in very good. It was a place where I don't think there was an awful lot of sightseeing in terms of much to do there, but you walk around it a bit like Chicago, just a magical place. There was a Freedom Trail, which if you like your history, is all about the Boston Tea Party. That was pretty cool. And the food was very good. There was always something to do. You always looked around. There was always a new place you'd not been to. But I think, sadly, for the lack of sightseeing opportunities, it's not going in elite. But yeah, that is my complete tier list for places to visit for NFL games if you want to visit the place. So for me, this is my list. Let me know in the comments what you think about my list, whether you think it's a good list, whether you think it's a bad list, and let me know in the comments your thoughts. But that is the final segment of our NFL tier list. So thank you for watching. If you have, stay tuned for all three. Do remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We want to try and grow the channel as much as we can. Doing some great content. Hopefully, if all things go ahead in Spain next weekend, hoping to bring you some content regarding that. But yeah, this is it. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.